Welcome to another episode of Shipper War, my review of the Season 3 of Vampire Diaries.
Shipper War. When ship happens, I'm there.
Before I start this review, I just want to warn you guys that I am going to be spoiling this episode, so if you're not interested in being spoiled, I suggest you just stop watching this and do not continue on. Now, on to my review. Now, I'm going to focus on the relationship in this episode. I'm not going to talk about anything else. And then this video is going to be way too long, and I'm just going to drag on because now I'll start ranting and raving, and you guys don't want to hear that. Now, let's start off with the first thing, and that's Jeremy and Bonnie. So the episode kind of starts with Jeremy talking to Bonnie through the phone, and they're having their whatever conversation. I really do not care about this couple. And then Vicki and Anna show up, and you're like, and then you realize they're ghosts. Now, I try to avoid spoilers throughout the whole summer, not to be spoiled on what people, speculated was going to happen, or did happen, or what is going to happen. So, for me to find out that Vicki and Anna, especially Anna, are ghosts is such a disappointment. I was so hoping they would actually bring back Anna as a full-on vampire, back in her full glory, but no. Apparently, throughout this episode, they kept showing her as a ghost. At least, that's what I'm assuming. I hope they surprise us, and it's like, no, she's not really a ghost. She's actually alive. Now, Jeremy and Anna can get back together. Awesome. Because I really liked them back in Season 1. I thought they had a really good chemistry, and I liked the dynamics between those two characters. Jeremy and Bonnie, not so much. Matt is still around, unfortunately, in this episode. He's just popped up and reminded me he's still around. The whole Matt and Caroline thing, please never go there again. I thought that was very, very boring. But, of course, in this episode, some cool, awesome, amazing things finally happened between Caroline and Tyler, and it's just, what we've been waiting for. They've been teasing us since last season between those two, and finally something happens in this episode. They finally do the deed. Now, to Elena and Damon, that whole dynamic there, I don't know. I know there's a lot of people who ship these two together and are like freaking fanatics, and they freaking die to the end shipping these two, which is all good. But for me, I just can't get into this idea of these two together. And I know people have their reasons. They say they have chemistry, so forth and so on, which I completely see. I just mean in a story aspect, I just don't find that relationship working. I just don't see it happening just because of the whole thing with Elena and Stefan being so strong as how it is and keeps being shown on the series. Speaking of which, that last scene where Elena gets that phone call for Stefan was so heartbreaking. This is another ship I do not ship, but I understand it and agree with it. That scene right there kind of got me teary-eyed. I gotta admit, I did get teary-eyed when Stefan, called Elena, and he's just on the phone, he's quiet, and he's just like telling him it's going to be okay. I love you. I love you. That was so heartbreaking. So speaking of Stefan, what he did to Andy was pretty messed up, and it kind of somewhat made me feel bad for Damon. But Damon didn't seem very heartbroken over it. He seemed like he got over it pretty quickly, which is just Damon being Damon. But that was such a messed up scene. I felt so bad. And of course, it was another one of those shocking deaths that always happens in the Vampire Diaries. You never know when it's going to happen, but then when it does, you're like, whoa, they just did that, didn't they? And Andy was one of those characters. I just felt so bad when they killed her. It was horrible. So that is all for my review of Vampire Diaries. I just want to skim over some things that happened in the episodes, my thoughts on it. So that is all for this episode of Shipper War. Goodbye, and until next time.